And welcome back to the Chicago Bears franchise rebuild. Who's ready for another offseason, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back to the channel. I hope you're all having a great day. Please leave a like, comment down below what you thought of today's action, and don't forget to subscribe. I am very excited to get into this offseason as we're going to be entering into year number 4. And this might be the biggest offseason of the franchise to date, as your Chicago Bears lost in the wild card action. We lost to the Philadelphia Eagles 27-20 in a ball game, to 27-17 in a ball game where Jacoby Brissett had it to start, threw 2 interceptions, did not look the best. We had no running game because of Algiers' injury. DJ Moore was the only playmaker that we had. I mean, Tyler Scott made some plays as well, I guess. But overall, we had a magical run, but this is something that I do want to talk to you guys about. And, well, before we get into that, welcome back to the channel, ladies and gentlemen. You know, there's a lot of thoughts going into this up-and-coming offseason with this roster. How can we change this team entering from year 3 to year 4 to now not just be more competitive, but to win the division, to now win a postseason game, and everything? There's a few questions that have to be answered. We no longer have Justin Fields. That's no longer a question. It's now the question is Christian Murray the quarterback of the future or not? And I think there's kind of a few different avenues that we can take in this offseason. Number one, we stick with Christian Murray. We bring in a capable backup just in case of his injury, because he did deal with one, and have a capable backup just in case if anything foreseen happen. That's number one. Number two, we could go out there. We have 2 first-round picks, 2 second-round picks, 2 third-round picks, 2 second-round picks next season, and use that draft capital to go get a quarterback. There are 7 quarterbacks in this up-and-coming draft that I really like. Is that the direction I go in? I don't know just yet. Or do we go for a capable veteran quarterback that is very good, pay him the money that we would have paid Justin Fields, and say this to ourselves: we got our guy, we believe in him, he's a proven commodity, let's go with it. Right here, right now, I'm more leaning towards bringing in either a veteran to come in and start behind, or to play behind Christian Murray, or to draft a rookie. I don't think that there's going to be a capable starter out there that we can come in here and bring in. I like Christian a lot. I think he's a solid quarterback. I don't know if he's truly the future of this franchise, but he showed flashes, and that's what you gotta really like to see. We're gonna go through the entire roster and my game plan with it, but this is something that I do want to show you guys before we get into today's episode. This is our games with Justin Fields. We won 6 games. It was all the way up to week 7, so we were 5-2 before we traded away Fields. We won, we beat the Giants with Murray, then we went on a 2-game winning streak, and then we beat the Chargers. He won only 4 games. So does that something to sit here and say about Murray? It's not like we lost, like the 2 losses here, one was a blowout and one was a close game. Murray's was, a close one, another close loss, and then another close loss, and then a blowout, and another blowout, and then you could argue just a non-competitive game because Murray didn't finish it. I don't know just yet if you can sit here and use that against Christian Murray, if he's truly the problem of this team or not. But I don't know if you can use it to sit here and say that he is truly the future of the team. But before we go talk about the team, let's go through the retirements. I don't expect us to have any sort of retirements. We might have one here and there. But so far from what I'm seeing, not yet, but we have a couple. The Levante David and George Fant, 2 solid veteran backups here, retire. There were a few other big name players that I saw. We'll go back up if it allows me. No, okay, we'll just exit out and then come back in. Just so that you guys know who has retired in this franchise. So we have Ryan Jensen, Aaron Donald has retired, Jake Matthews, Lane Johnson, Tremont Armstead. So a lot of good tackles have. Travis Kelce, Cameron Hayworth. Those are probably the biggest names. Sterling Shepard, I'm a Giants fan, so always like pointing those guys out to you guys. So let's go through position by position and talk about it. So here we are in the finance or the salary page, whatever the heck you want to call it. As you guys can see, a lot of our big name players, a lot of our high overall players are under contract. Edmonds is entering into one of them. But let's start here at quarterback. We've talked a little bit about it already, but I'm going into basically the perspective entering into this offseason to either sticking with Murray or drafting a quarterback. I have the capital to do so to get my guy. And if I don't think that I can do, if for whatever reason I think that, sticking with Christian is the best option, I'm going to stick with him. For Jacoby Brissett might be a quarterback I could decide to bring back. He does not at the moment in time have the mentor tag, so I might actually not bring him back. But Brissett showed flashes in the wild card game, but who knows? In terms of the running back position, Algier, this is probably the biggest one to date here in terms of potential free agents. Tyler Algier, I think, had a solid season. 1,200 yards, 6 scores. Could we do better? Absolutely. And with that being said, I think the running back position needs a little bit of a U-Haul here. I did like Justin Hill and Ezekiel Elliott in their respected roles, but I don't think they moved the needle as much as we needed them to do so. I think we know Cash's role, and he's a capable running back. We have 2 undrafted second-year running backs here, and Terrell Douglas and Danny Matthews, who I think could step into potential roles next year. But we need a bell cow, and I think we need a veteran, or we need a capable backup as well. So during this offseason, we need to figure out the running back position. Fullback, we're fine. Receiver, we're going to be letting OBJ go. Beckham had a good 2-year stay here, but he's regressed now. He has not really liked being here. He's not really anything special anymore. But I think of adding a veteran receiver might be smart. You could argue adding another young guy could also be smart, but we have our number 1 in DJ Moore. You could argue we have our number 2 and 3 in Bush and Scott, and we have our 4 with Dumb. So how much more competition do you want here? I don't know just yet. In the tight end room, I like Jerry Gay as our starter. I like Cole Clement as our backup. Clement's still under contract. We're not in cap hell. We could save $2 million right now, but I think that would be only if we really need to. I think finding a capable blocking tight end makes a lot of sense, but other than that, tight end will not be touched. In terms of the offensive line, Braxton Jones signed a 2-year extension, so not worried about tackle. We also have Jonah Williams here, so we have 2 tackles set. Brad will be moving back to, I'm going to move him back to right guard here. But we have Green here, who is the right now the only left guard that we have. He's right now going to probably test the open market. So a potential guard here, but don't forget, we have Johnny, who played guard most of the season. Connor Williams, who played center for most of the season. Do you switch the two? Or what do you do here? But I would argue that we have our guys. It's just mostly finding the depth. Nate Davis here, we're probably gonna let him find more of a capable pass blocker as well as a run blocker. But Nate Davis is a solid potential comeback type of option for us. And Darnell Wright, I don't know just yet what we're gonna do with Wright. He's definitely a solid player, but he might be arguably so. You could argue to trade right away, but for now, I think we're going to keep him. I think it's just finding depth across this offensive line. unless there's a move to really change up this line, I'm not gonna do so. In terms of the defense, Josh Allen here, you know how good he is. He was an excellent run defender, excellent playmaker. He's also now an X factor, which is fantastic. It means meaningless for us, but still. But with Robinson, him potentially becoming now a free agent, an edge rusher is a need for us. I think Chuck Gardner here had a solid rookie season, and I think he will continue to develop. He did get a sack in the playoff game. In terms of defensive tackle, this is a spot where I do think we need a veteran. I think that this is a spot where, you know, I like Grover Dexter, Martinez, Cortez Watkins. I like these three guys. It's just not enough. We need a better veteran than a Matt Ioannidis to come in here. We need a guy that can play basically alongside Josh Allen and let these young guys excel in their very specific roles. So that's the goal here. In terms of linebacker, you know, Tyler Chamberlain, excellent season. Tremaine Edmonds is an excellent linebacker, and Steven Timmons is an excellent linebacker. We don't have to worry about it right now, but we have to get depth across this linebacking room because we don't really have anyone to play behind them just yet. So we'll see. In terms of the corner room, well, you still have Jalen Johnson. Matt Cox here, still very good, and both Jalen Johnson and Max Cox went up to superstar development, so they're both now going to develop faster and stay there overall. Stevenson, 5 interceptions last year, and he looked good. We still have Dalton Kelly, who we drafted, same overall as Stevenson, and he's younger, so we're kind of developing the next corner in our locker room. So I don't think that corner is really a need. Maybe bringing in a new veteran to replace Marcus Peters, but other than that, I think we're solid here at corner. Safety is a need. I like CJ Gardner-Johnson. He needs a partner in crime. Eddie Jackson was not it throughout this campaign. I like Eddie as a veteran leader who can play in certain spots, but he's not an every down player. Unfortunately, not anymore at 32 years old. Jonathan Abram, he might be a player we consider bringing back, but strong safety is a need. I think we're good at kicker, and I think we're gonna probably go out there and find a new punter. So right now, that's like my thought process on the roster. We'll see how everything unfolds here, and let's get right into it. We have $77 million, almost $78 million in cap space. So let's go through re-signings and go through the offseason. Before looking at the up-and-coming free agents, let's look at mock draft 3. Don't forget, we have 2 first-round picks here. So right now in the mock draft 3, they have the New York Giants picking first overall. And the first quarterback goes 5 here, Parker, who's not one of my favorite quarterbacks. He's projected to go 5, which does make a whole lot of sense here. The top 3 teams here, all 3 of them have drafted a quarterback. Surprised that Pittsburgh doesn't want to. We have a running back in Nick Colbert here, projected to go top 10. Zach Drew here, I think he's probably the first quarterback that I like. And I've yet to see and it looks like we have 2 close selections here, and they're having us projectedly take 2 running backs. Not going to do that by any means. But I didn't see any other quarterbacks go. Maybe in mock draft 4 we'll see more. But this is going to be a very interesting draft for us if we, of course, go out there and trade up to go get a quarterback. But let's go through re-signings here. $78 million. We have a bunch of players to debate about here. Start on the back end here. A lot of these guys are depth. So, like I said, I'm gonna let Gil test here. Mo Ali Cox, he might come back, but he was a good run blocker. All these guys, I think, deserve to test. Matt Ioannidis made some splashes. Ezekiel Elliott scored a couple times, but none of these guys are going to be coming back here. They don't have interest in coming back either. Jonathan Abram would be the first player here that I would like to keep. a 2 years, $7 million though. That is a steep price for a special teamer. So I think for Abram, we're gonna let him test as well. Monty Rice will let him test. Green, Kendrick Green here, he is a solid guard. That is, you know, his skill set is okay. He would be quality depth, but you know, I just don't think we're gonna bring him back. Nate Davis will let him test. Same thing here with Justin Hill. Williams here will let test, and then we have these 3 players. So we'll start here with Robinson. Robinson, you know, he played a lot of this season, and overall, I think Robinson is a quality edge rusher. But when you start, you know, almost a majority of the snaps and you don't get over 5 sacks, you know, in the last 2 seasons, it's a question. I think he's a good player. He was a fun player in year 1, but we're gonna let him test. It's just too rich for my blood. For Darnell Wright, I don't want to pick up the 5th-year option for him. I'm gonna be rejecting this for him, and Wright will be a potential free agent next year. I don't think he's developed into the tackle that we've wanted him to. Not in like real life and all, but I just don't see it right now. And then for Tyler Algier, 26 years old, 81 overall. He played well for us, and I think that there's a scenario where we do try to keep him, but I think we're gonna let him test, and so that means I'm not re-signing anyone. All these guys are gonna be testing. And yeah, not a lot of decision there. And now we've hit open free agency. Exciting stuff here as Rodney Stanley is out here. Joe Toney is out here as well. Ryan Ramczyk, Grover Stewart, DeMarcus Lawrence. There's some capable guys. And again, so if you guys can see on the top left, active negotiations. I'm not targeting anyone right now, and it already says we have 3. So in this first stage, we can only go after 2 players because Madden wants to make this difficult for myself, I guess, apparently. I don't know. So, you know, first thing to look at is running back. David Montgomery, you know, a reunition here could be nice. He is interested in returning. He would be the #1 running back on our depth chart. That could be an option for us. Here are the available receivers. You could argue, you know, Rodney Stanley, who has a lot of interest in coming here. You could argue bring in a top tier left tackle, protect the future of the offense. You know, and that could fix a lot of things, but I do think that the defensive line is where a lot of the love needs. You see Grover Stewart, who has a lot of interest. You have DJ Reader out there. Eric Armstead, Javon Hargrave is out here. Dalvin Tomlinson, Kevin Gaines here. So a couple good defensive tackles. Gary, you have a couple good also edge rushers here. Completely blanking on his name right now. I'm so sorry, guys. I am dyslexic, so don't mind me. TJ Edwards is out here. We could reunite with him, I guess. Corner, Darnell Blade here. He's a solid corner. He could fill a potential role. I do think that there is one free agent that we should immediately target. I do want to look at strong safety. It is not the strongest safety class that I was hoping for, but I do think going after a guy like a Grover Stewart makes a whole lot of sense. He wants $20 million. Holy. Okay. We have the money, and I think Grover Stewart could fit a role for us. Let's view his card real quick. Grover Stewart. Yeah, I mean, he can do a little bit of everything. He's a top 10 defensive tackle. Yeah, it's either Grover Stewart or going after DeMarcus Lawrence here, but Lawrence is more of an edge rusher than an interior guy. you could argue for both. Lawrence is cheaper. You want, what do you want here? Do you want to go get DeMarcus Lawrence? Do you want to go get Grover Stewart? My goodness. Could go after kind of two guys here, Michael Pierce and Dalvin Tomlinson, and try to fill it that way. This is tough. Already a tough decision here. An open free agency. Grady Jarrett, that's his name. That's the name that I'm blanking on. 33 years old. I do like Grady Jarrett. He was a player that I had written down. And Grady Jarrett, oh man. I mean, Jarrett could come in here and do what I want him to do, because I want this player to play every down, just about. Could it be Grady Jarrett that we bring in? Stewart is the highest overall, and he has interest in coming here. My goodness, $77 million to work with. This is the quarterback market. Sam Howell is the best. I don't see myself going after him. He would be the guy that you basically sign and play, but I'm not going in that direction with this roster. I don't see a reason to do so. So you know what? I am going to be doing this. I'm going to be going after Grady Jarrett here. He has interest in coming here. And I kind of want to make this, you know, enticing enough that he does come here, but a little bit more on the cheaper side. Like $9 million. I like Grady Jarrett a lot. I think he would be a capable starter in the interior. But the other player that I am going to target here is DeMarcus Lawrence. I think bringing in both of these guys to fix this defensive line and fix this defense is key. So we're going to target both DeMarcus Lawrence here as well as Grady Jarrett. Not Grover Stewart. I like Stewart, but I just don't see why pay a guy $20 million when I could pay, you know, a little bit more than 20 for two guys. You know, we're paying Lawrence closer to 15, and we could get two guys for the price of one. That's my philosophy right now. Due to the fact that I can only target two players because the game sucks, we're gonna evaluate these two and see if they come to this roster. And we did bring in DeMarcus Lawrence. So we got now our mixed bag here of edge rusher dash defensive end or defensive tackle. He can play both. With Grady Jarrett here, I am gonna raise it just slightly, just to try to entice him to come in. We'll evaluate again. Okay, I don't need to know all that information. And we have signed Grady Jarrett here. So we have now fixed up this interior, this defensive line, and we have really helped out this defensive line. Now, of course, there's been a lot of signings out of the league. Rodney Stanley is gone. Same with Joe Tooney out here. He's gone. Stewart went to the Green Bay Packers. So now we have to play against Grover Stewart. Of course we do. But we got DeMarcus Lawrence. That's imperative. I think this is a big signing for us. See a couple players going to the Tennessee Titans. Now we have $53 million, and we have fixed up this defensive line. I am now going to be simming to the next week because I just want more free agents to sign. But we're now going to talk a little bit more about scouting and stuff. Okay, I just wanted to make sure. So now I can target 7 free agents. So unfortunately, that's just how we're going to have to do it. But I do want to change my focus here to now going to the mock draft 4, because I'm not going to look at mock draft 5. I think that gives away too much. So it looks like to me, the first quarterback that's going to go off the board is right around 5. Okay, so that we can work with. You know, it's not a quarterback that I like. You know, in Parker, he can go to the New England Patriots. The first quarterback that I like is Zach Drew, who isn't even my favorite quarterback in this class. And Cliff Nicholson here, he is my favorite, and he's projected to go 17, 2 picks before us. So we don't have to trade into the top 10 to get Cliff potentially. We could stay pat and draft one of these guys with one of these selections. So I think for right now, I think the safest option is this is my dilemma right now, guys. Is do I want to trade up now? Because I do want to trade for a player or two. I want to try to get some guys because this free agent pool isn't the best to fix some of my other needs that I want to get. But we got to make sure we have enough capital to get our quarterback too, because I think that's the direction that I want to go in. This is tough. So if Cliff is expected to go 17 here to the Commanders, I almost said Redskins. Oops. We have to. I think what we should do is try to trade here. Do we try to go before the Lions? Do we try to trade with the New York Jets? But the Jets wouldn't want to trade with us. It would make sense if Jacksonville does. I don't know just yet. Okay, so there's a bit of a dilemma here because, you know, we have draft capital, but I might want to use it to trade. Okay, let's go back to open free agency. Let's make some moves to fill out the depth of this team. Okay, so I went around the league. I found some players that found 7 players that I like. So David Montgomery, no one has any interest in Montgomery, and I do think having Montgomery, because there's no more Algier. Algier signed, Tyler Algier signed with, I forget where he signed. He signed with the Chargers, so he's gone. So I think to replace Algier, we need a capable back here, and I think Montgomery can handle it. A little reunition doesn't hurt. Jordan Battle here, who's a quality safety. If we can't get a guy in the draft, I think Battle would be a good player. Sky Moore to fill the Beckham role. I think Moore can handle that. Michael McFadden here, solid inside linebacker with good speed, good run stopping. Spencer Bradford here to basically replace Nate Davis. Daniel Bellinger. He has that mixed blend of blocking and speed that can help out. And Jameis Winston to be the backup quarterback. So I like the moves. Let's evaluate and see what we got. And we have brought in Jordan Battle, Sky Moore, Michael McFadden here, and Spencer Bradford. So we were able to bring in some capable young guys. You know, all these guys, or most of these guys here are young. Here, all of them here are 25. They're all on kind of prove-it type of deals, all 1 to 2 year deals, besides Battle, who signed a 2-year deal with us. So we do have some new faces. Some new guys are coming in here for the David Montgomery sweepstakes. I'm not looking to really try to get David Montgomery in terms of running back. If we can't bring in Montgomery, it's then going to be interesting. There is Khalil Herbert. Herbert would be a guy that I would try to bring back. There is Derrick Henry out there. So do we bring in Derrick Henry at 33 years old? But Justin Hill is still out there. But I'm not too worried at this moment in time with running back. I'm going to be targeting a couple other players like James Bradbury, Khalil Herbert, Green we're trying to bring back, Jonathan Abram, a couple players that were on the roster already. Just trying to keep some faces around. So we'll evaluate again as I keep clicking the wrong button. And we'll see what we got here. Hopefully some new faces. Bradbury has signed his 1-year deal. Khalil Herbert's back on a 1-year contract. We brought back Green. Jameis Winston is here. I don't know if he's signed. So we have plenty of free agents that we're bringing in here, both for depth as well as the competition. So Abram and Daniel Bellinger, will let these two guys figure their shit out. And now move our attention to the draft, as we're going to now sim the next week here. So now taking a quick look at the roster. So we have still our starting 5 linemen. Derby would play guard in one of these spots, and Wright would be starting. But, you know, we have Bradford, we have Williams. Those are our two key backups with Green. So we have our three backups. You could argue another one, but for right now, I think the offensive line is set. Receiver now with Sky Moore on the roster, we're kind of set here. We could add a receiver in the draft. That's not me saying that we're not going to, but we're kind of set here. With now bringing back Khalil Herbert after his season in Washington, he ran all over us in week 18. Running back is still a need. It's just, I gotta it's gonna happen either during the draft or something like that, that we're gonna fill out the running back position. You know, that's where we have the draft capital, because I'm thinking about getting a veteran running back right now. Flip it over to the defense here. Safety is still a need. Jordan Battle here, he is a quality safety, but I don't know if he truly moves the needle. He's not the best in coverage. He can hit, he can tackle, but in coverage ability, that's where he lacks. So safety is still a need. I think that the defensive line is basically set now. Grady Jarrett would move to defensive tackle. DeMarcus Lawrence, these guys are all gonna play. You know, I kind of have a plan in mind here. And James Bradbury was brought in here to be basically the fifth corner on the roster. With that mentorship, he can press, he can play a little bit of everything. He might not have that blazing speed anymore, but what he does have is that mentorship to help out the young corner rooms. That's the other reason we brought in Jameis Winston here. Winston has that mentorship, and he can still kind of throw the football. He has a little bit of a stronger arm than Jacoby Brissett. He has better accuracies, a little less athletic, but who cares about the athleticism? So I think as we enter now into the draft process with our draft capital, you know, our needs are still safety, filling out this linebacking room, maybe getting another defensive lineman, but I think we're kind of set there. Maybe some more offensive linemen, a running back, maybe a wide receiver, and definitely a quarterback. So our biggest needs are still running back, quarterback, and safety, but I think we can fill that out with this draft. There are players in this class that I like a lot. So let's sim now to the next week. We'll look at the recap of free agency, and we'll try to make any sort of moves that we need to. Free agency recap here. As let's just look at the players that got signed. Ronnie Stanley's going to the Colts. We know Joe Tooney's going to the Panthers. Green Bay signed Grover Stewart, so we're gonna have to play him twice a year. Not seeing too many. David Montgomery going to the Cardinals. As the Rams signed a couple veterans here. Traylon Burks going back to Tennessee. Algier going to the Chargers. Nico Collins going back to the Texans. I think he was I think he played for the Bucks. Jamison Williams going to the Raiders, so no more seeing him, thankfully. DJ Reader going back to Cincinnati. Lyle Collins here going to the Packers, so we'll see him a couple times. Not seeing too many, you know, a lot of similar teams. Sam Howell going to the Titans, so I guess Baker Mayfield has a little bit of competition now. So a lot of movements here. There's still probably some quality free agents out here. You know, there's still a good punter. That's the one thing we have to figure out, punter. I can't forget that. My goodness. I kind of forgot about it, to be perfectly frank with you guys. So, but there's still probably some quality veterans out there. Tyler Lockett's out here still. I assume these guys will find roles on some team. So we'll see if we will have any opportunity. But now we have private workouts. We're not going to look at mock draft 5 because of the fact that it just kind of gives away the draft. But what do we want to do now? Because, you know, ultimately, the question is, we're trading up for a quarterback. And in my opinion, you know, Cliff Nicholson here is the best. I think he's the best between any of these four guys that I like. It's just, is this enough information to go off of? And if so, who would be the 3 guys that if we don't? So with that being said, I do think that we have enough information. I do think that once we see 2 quarterbacks go, whoever they are, we go up and go get them. I think because I don't think that Zach Drew will be on the board. I think that Andrew Sidney is the second best. Mitch Rich is basically my backup option. So with that being said, here is who do we want to look at? So overall wise, I would sit here and say we should consider safety as something that we should consider looking into. So the first player that I want to kind of get more information on is Danny Reeves here. Reeves is 22 years old, out of Oregon. He's fast. He's a solid athlete across the board. I just need to make sure that he can cover, he can hit. So Danny will be the first player that I want to look at and get more information on. Now, due to the fact that we kind of fixed up this defensive line with veterans, I'm not going to look at defensive linemen. This kind of now turns to who I think the 2 best players in this draft class are basically. And I think one of them is Will Porter here. I think Porter is an excellent inside linebacker. Now, you might sit here and say inside linebacker is not a need, but Steven Timmons is expected to be a free agent, as well as Tremaine Edmonds. So we have to consider a linebacker regardless at some point in this draft. And now thinking about it, I kind of want to use the other one on another safety, and that's Bo Thomas here. I like Thomas a lot for his hit power and everything. So 2 safeties and a linebacker for our private workout. Hopefully we get this information, and hopefully I'm not just screwing myself over here. Okay, before we hop into the draft, let's see if we got this information. So for Bo Thomas here, he got him to 95. He has A hit power, A tackle, not the best in coverage, solid athlete. He's above average, I would say. And he's actually A to B awareness and A to B play rec. He should be a solid player. He should be a round 1 talent. For Danny Reeves here, 90 percentage, better in coverage, still A hit power, better speed, and it's either, I don't care about finesse moves. He might be injury prone. Stamina should be good, and he looks like to be a ball hawk. I think Danny Reeves here kind of moves up in my board here as maybe the second player we take in the first round. For Will Portis, it did not work. So, or Porter, I have no idea. But I think Will here is an excellent player. He looks very intriguing across the board. So who knows, but I think Will be a quality player. But let's get into the NFL draft. It's time to make some major decisions. It's time to find the future of this team. So let's first and foremost, let's look at our picks. We have a lot. We have a lot in terms of the first 3 rounds, 2 firsts, 2 seconds. We have a 5, a 6, and a 7. So right here, right now, we pick at 19 and 21. We pick at 15 and 19th in the second round, and then the third round, 7 and 19. So we right now have an opportunity to trade up to get any of these quarterbacks that we want. I sit here and say this as I don't even know who this Chris guy is. I don't even recognize his name. Maybe he is a player that I just continue to overlook. But I want to see quarterbacks go off the board. I want to sit back and wait. The one thing is that if there's an opportunity to trade up, we're going to go try to get Cliff. If not, I would say Andrew Sidney is my second favorite quarterback in this class. So we'll try to get one of these 2 guys. I'm hoping to get out of the top 10. But let's start here with the New York Football Giants. They already drafted their quarterback in this series, so they will go out there and get him a tackle. Josh Patterson will be now protecting his quarterback. Brian Matthews will be joining the New Orleans Saints here, a pass rusher. I think he's the best in this class. And then Joe Quinn He is going to the Broncos. So the 3 teams that already had quarterbacks went. This is one spot that I think a quarterback could go. And they don't. They go a pass rusher. The Pittsburgh Steelers drafted Wandale Thomas here. The Patriots were projected to go a quarterback. Do they go here? Here's Parker. No, out of Arkansas here. Jesus Christ, I can't speak right now. Here comes the Panthers. Who do they go? They go Nick Colbert, the best running back in the class. I think he's an excellent player. He would have been a player if we did not need a quarterback that I would have considered trading up to go get, but this is definitely a classic Carolina Panthers selection here, drafting a running back top 10. Green goes here to the Chargers, helping out their defense. And then Hooker here going to the LA Rams. Here comes the Jacksonville Jaguars going Matthew Miller. Now Miller here, he's a quality tackle. There are a lot of good tackles in this class. And now Zach Drew going to the New York Jets. So from here on out, I'm not trained with the Lions, so let's now sim past the Lions. They go Deshaun Knight here. So far, the first 11 picks is to be expected. So now we have the Titans, we have the Bucks, we have the Packers. So we have a few teams. The Washington is the first team that you sit here and kind of circle. The Titans here could be the other team that you could argue that might want to get a quarterback. They have Sam Howell, who they just signed. They have Baker Mayfield, but you know, are either one of these guys truly their future? That's the question they might be asking themselves. But I'm not trading up just yet. I know 2 quarterbacks have gone off the board. You know, I want to wait a little bit. As they go a pass rusher here, as the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, they've drafted their quarterback. They go Will Porter here, who I think is an excellent player. So I think the NFC South here just got a whole lot better with 2 selections. Not trading with Green Bay, as they go a wide receiver. So I think they let Romeo Doubs walk, so he's gone. This could be a spot, because I don't know the Vikings. The Vikings are a team that kind of worries me, because they view Jordan Love as a bridge quarterback now. The Vikings might be a spot. This might be a spot to jump them to go get our guy, because, you know, if the Texans don't need him, they don't need a quarterback, and the Browns don't either. So let's try to make a trade here. And a deal is done. We are trading our later first round picks. So we're trading the 21st selection, a third this year, I think our late 3, and a next year's 4 to trade up here to jump over the Minnesota Vikings and the Washington Commanders. And we still have a pick and a couple selections here. And this spot right here, this is the spot where I'm not going to be overthinking this. I know all of my 3 of my quarterbacks are still here. This is the deal. Cliff Nelson here, I think, is the best. He has good accuracies across the board. He has good throw power. He's a good athlete. I think across the board, he looks like the most pro-ready quarterback. Andrew Sidney is my second. He's a little older. He doesn't have that speed. He doesn't have that athletic ability. And for Mitch here, he is the youngest, but he is the most raw talent. I don't want raw talent. I need a guy that can come in here day one, be the guy, and that's Cliff Nicholson here. Nicholson is the pick, hidden development, good speed at 80, 90 acceleration, 80 agility, 91 throw power. Cliff Nelson is now the Chicago Bears franchise quarterback, and I'm looking forward to seeing what we can help him do here in the first round as we have a selection up and coming. I am very excited here as we leapfrog the Minnesota Vikings here, and they take a pass rusher now. The Commanders, they go Chris T here. So they go get the quarterback that I kind of forgot about. Max Sparks is off the board, and we're right back on the clock here. And we still have 2 second-round picks, ladies and gentlemen. We still have plenty of room to get more talent. It's not just about the quarterbacks, it's about getting more talent on this roster. And this is a spot where you could argue, is it time to go Danny Reeves here? You know, we could fix our secondary. Absolutely. You know, I don't think that there's a linebacker that I would want to get. You could argue in trying to bring in another young defensive lineman. That could be a spot. Do you go offensive line? Do you believe in the future of this line long term? You know, could you go tight end here? I mean, I wouldn't. I'm kind of just making this more dramatic than it needs to be, ladies and gentlemen. Running back is kind of a need as well. That's something that I want to, though, address in the second round. Danny Reeves here is by and far the best selection here. He will be the guy. Welcome to the Bears. Normal dev does hurt, but Danny Reeves, 22 years old out of Oregon, 91 speed, 91 acceleration, and 91 agility. I think he will pair up very nicely with CJ Gardner-Johnson. And we now have 4 safeties that are quality players. And I don't know if I don't know if I'm done trading or moving up and down this board here. I do want to get as much talent as I possibly can, but I got my favorite quarterback in this class. I got my favorite safety. There are still good defensive linemen in this class, but we're going to get into the second round here. If there's a spot where I feel like we can go get a running back, I will. But for right now, I don't think we're gonna continue moving forward here. No names just yet that I've noticed that I really want to call out here. Here's a running back going to the Las Vegas Raiders, but doesn't really bother me. James White, he's a solid guard. Giants are back on the clock. Who'd they go? There goes Josh Howard here. He was a good running back. So before we continue to sim here, let's look at the board. So yeah, if you want to go get a running back, it's now Jeremy Hamlin here, who's the last good back after Howard just got selected. Interesting. Is that the direction that we really want to go in? Continue moving forward here. Nathan Ryans goes, and there goes the other running back. So yeah, we're gonna have to figure out running back here pretty quickly. It's definitely gonna be a decision. Darnell Davison here, he's a good receiver. I actually like Carolina's picks so far. Man, I might have failed you guys in this draft class. I think I hesitated. There goes Mitch. He's going to Jacksonville. Don't know why he's going there. I might have failed you guys in this draft class. I think there were good players that I'm leaving off the board, even though we have the capital to do so. There goes Bo Thomas, who's a good player. We do have 2 second-round picks. There goes Andrew Sidney. Now he's going to be the backup there in Green Bay. We're on the clock now. So I think it is a BPA type of approach here. Still have almost 50 players on the board. There was not another running back that I was like, we got to go get. Lance Brothers, day 3 might be an option. Not thinking receiver right now. Tight end. Dion Sims here could be a spot. You could argue in tackle. This is a spot where if we want to build for the future of this offense, tackle might not be a bad option. Ooh. Deion Kemps is still available. Oh my. Deion Kemps was my favorite edge rusher coming out of this class. 23 years old. I believe he has very good power moves with A, D finesse moves. This is a very, very tough selection because we could go Kemps here, get a good player. Luke Roberts, he's another interesting prospect. Corner, there's one more on my board. I think this is a pretty simple selection. I want to make sure we get Kep here. Dion Kep, welcome to the team. Hidden development. We get another pass rusher because you know me, I love my defensive linemen. And 92 speed, 82 acceleration, hidden development at 23 years old. You're coming to a defense that's loaded and that can go get the quarterback. And we are going to stop the run this season. That's what we want to do. We have another second round selection here. And due to the fact that, you know, I think that there's really one more running back on the board. We have a second, a third, and a couple late day 3 selections. Let's see if we can make a move here. Actually, I want to sim. Excuse me. We're gonna sim to our selection, and then we might end up making a move. There goes Will Stain, going to the Vikings. There goes the tackle. And then we are on the clock as Travis Reeds goes off the board. Let's see if we can make a trade and try to find a running back out there. And a deal has been made. We're trading this year's 3rd round pick and next year's 5th round pick to get Jordan Howard here. Now, I know you guys might sit back here and be like, wait, what just happened? I wanted to make this move here. Jonathan Allen, Jonathan Hayward here. Howard here, Jesus Christ. Jonathan here came from the Kansas City Chiefs here. He's a backup behind Isaiah Pacheco, and he's developed nicely. He's a superstar with injury problems, 2 years left on his deal, and we're gonna give ourselves a quality back here. Jonathan is gonna come in here. He's going to play next to now, you know, he's coming into a backfield with, you know, Khalil Herbert, BJ Cash, and we'll figure out everyone behind him. But now we only have now a 2nd round pick and some day 3 selections. So this 2nd round pick is kind of key for me to hopefully give ourselves a future-ish player. But, you know, I was thinking about trading away Cole Kmet. That's part of the reason because Deion Sims is right here. And I was debating about drafting him. That's the reason I kind of paused. But overall, you know, I don't think that now drafting a tight end makes a whole lot of sense. We kind of now filled out the running back spot, you know, with now 4 selections, and we don't pick now until the 5th round. Running back, receiver kind of all becomes, you know, later thought processes. It's kind of now looking at this offensive line and kind of think about, do we want to help that or do we want to help out the defense? And because of the fact that Daniel Wright's future is very much in question, I think that this is a makes sense type of selection. Pat McLean here. He's strong, fast. He has good blocking skills from day 1. He's a little bit of a better run blocker, but we're gonna go with Pat here with our 2nd round selection. 87 strength, hidden development, 21 years old. He will get a year to develop and probably become our future right tackle, to be honest with you guys. So what have you guys thought about this draft class? You know, I know we've made a lot of moving around. You know, we've traded up, we've traded down. But what do you guys think of this class so far? I know we entering into this draft class, I was very much fixated on the quarterback position and probably missed out on a couple good players that we could have drafted. But what do you guys think? You know, I know that this off season, you know, we went out there and we're going for the playoffs with a rookie quarterback, and it's a little unconventional. But I know that, but I believe in Cliff. I think that this team is ready to take the next necessary step. And as we enter now into the 3rd round, I want to just look at the board one more time and see if there's like anyone else. But let me know down below what you guys think, as we have 38 players still on the board. I'm trying to see if there's any names that that jump out at me and say to me that, you know, I should try to go get. Luke Roberts is one of those guys, but I don't think that we're going to try to get him. We've addressed the offensive line at a spot that I really like. So I think we're okay to now sim now to the 5th round, as we've gotten all the way here to the 5th round. We have 3 more selections. We still need a punter, ladies and gentlemen. I can't forget that. I probably will. We still have 17 players on the board. Brian Green, who I think is a kind of a, what's his name? A Christian Murray type of quarterback. Trent Burke here, not thinking him right now. A receiver, I don't think here in the 5th round makes a whole lot of sense. We could decide on another alignment, but I don't think I'm going to. I want to see if Roberts is still there. No, we don't have any more defensive linemen out there. The linebacker is, we still have a few guys here and there. You know, maybe we take a chance on one of these guys. Darnell Manning here could be a solid corner. But here in the 5th round, let's look at one of these linebackers. So Marcus Lone here, you know, solid speed, looks to be a, you know, cover type of guy. Not my favorite, but who knows? Here's, you know, Vernon here, again, solid. He's supposedly be the fastest in the draft class, but I don't think so. C zone coverage for him. Stoudemire here, solid speed again. All these guys look to be similar type of players. Will Landry here has great speed, and I'm gonna go with Will Landry here. Welcome to the team. 88 speed, 90 acceleration, and hopefully that speed and athletic ability can propel him to be a solid backup in this league. 6th round selection time, as we have addressed the linebacking room. We still have a fair amount of players, 4 players on the board. I think here I want to take one of these receivers, Charlie Hitchinson. He's right now my only guy on the board. Great speed. He looks like to be a pure deep threat. F's across the board, but he's intriguing enough here in the 6th round. Welcome to the team. 94 speed. He's an athletic freak. He's a playmaker, so Charlie, welcome to the roster. Who knows, maybe he'll make it as a punt returner. Now we're in the middle of the 7th round here. Our last selection. We still have a fair amount of players on the board. You could decide to go offensive lineman here. I think that's where the strength of this draft class really was. But I think here we're going to go with Trent Burke here. He's a good back. He has 4.4 speed or 4.3 speed in his pro day. I think Trent here can be a solid guy. He's a UDFA player, but 91 speed, 89 acceleration. He's not, change of direction is okay. It's not great, but Trent here could be a solid back, potentially. Who knows? But ladies and gentlemen, that is the draft. And that is the conclusion of the off-season. What do you guys think? Let me know down below. We're not ending today's video just yet. We're gonna look at the draft recap here, as we made 4 excellent selections, as it looks like, and then 3 solid ones. So let's start here with Cliff Nelson here, the future quarterback of this team. 72 overall, or 74 overall, excuse me. 91 throw power. He can throw on the run very well. He's an athletic quarterback. Need a little work on his deep and medium, but Cliff is in a very good spot with that hidden development. I think Cliff has the future to be the guy here. Danny Reeves here, 76 overall, normal dev, 84 hit power. That's very nice. 75 zone coverage. He can tackle a little bit. Injury prone, but he can also kind of catch the football with 71. So I do think that we have a kind of a future partner in crime potentially, or a future just safety in general. Dion Kemp here was a BPA type of selection, 74 overall. Yeah, I mean, he cannot finesse worth diddly, but I mean, that's kind of fixable. but 87 strength, and he has 82 speed and 82 acceleration. He can kind of stop the run a little bit. He could potentially become a 3-down defensive lineman, develop nicely. And Pat McLean here is a future prospect. Need help in terms of finesse rushers, but that is not a terrible starting point here for a potential future starting tackle. And he's 21 years old, so definitely like that selection. Will Landry here, another normal dev player. Yeah, you know, for a good special teamer, good to start out with. You know, he's, yeah, just got to kind of work on his coverage skills, and he could develop nicely as well. Charlie here, who was more of a deep, I think he's more of like a running back type of player. No, he's just a pure deep threat. It's going to take a lot for him to really impress me, I would say. And then our final selection was Trent Burke here, 69 overall, nice. And yeah, you know what? He would have been probably a UDFA player that we could have brought in, definitely. But, you know, coming out here with these ratings, he could be a solid backup running back. So we have a lot of depth here at running back that is going to be interesting. So, you know, and this is where you... So here's the draft. I already see that Nick Colbert here is an 83 overall. Could have you argued that we should have went after him? Absolutely. But quarterback was just a bigger need for us. No matter how good Nick Colbert is, I just can't, I can't justify it. Will Porter here, if I knew more information on him, I probably would have made him more of a priority, but with this starting out ability, he's going to be a monster. But again, I didn't get the information, and I'm not going to trade up for a guy that we already have a spot filled. A couple corners here, a good blocking tight end. Danny Reeves was in the top, you know, top 10-ish in terms of overall. Zach Drew was the highest overall, well, tied for the highest overall quarterback. Yeah, let's actually, let's go through all these first round quarterbacks. Parker here was the first quarterback off the board, normal development, 23 years old, good medium and short accuracy. So New England gets themselves a future at quarterback, so that's okay. Zach Drew went to the Jets here, and yeah, again, medium and deeper solid, you know, but again, normal development. So I'm happy we didn't get either one of those two. There goes our selection. Here's Chris, a kid that I kind of didn't really pay too much of attention to. Yeah, you know, solid quarterback. He needs a lot of work, but not gonna be beating my head on the desk for him. And then my second favorite quarterback went in the second round. Here's Rich here. Again, hidden development. Mitchell Rich here. He has room to develop, but again, I think that he needs a little bit of work. I think if if he was in the last year's draft and we drafted a quarterback like Mitchell, I think we would have been happy. And then Andrew Sidney, 72 overall. He was my second favorite quarterback, normal development. And yeah, you know, Sidney would be an okay starting point. I am very, though, happy with our quarterback. I hope Andrew has an opportunity to play in Green Bay, because I would love to play against him. This is probably a spot where we should have traded up to go get George Howard. Unfortunate, but Howard is going to be a solid back behind Saquon Barkley, which that kind of does beg the question. Here's Darnell Davison here. He was my favorite receiver in this draft class, but that does beg the question, actually, because New York just drafted a running back. How old is Saquon? And how much longer does Saquon have on his deal? Because ultimately, if Saquon has 1 year left on his contract and New York didn't have a good season, so yeah, George Howard's now their guy behind him. Saquon's 29 years old, entering into year 9. coming off a 1,300-yard year, and he has, you know, 13 million. He's being paid $13 million. This could be a spot potentially, ladies and gentlemen. Could we go after Saquon Barkley? Is that the direction we should go into? That's an interesting thought process. I know we just traded for a running back, so why am I even bringing this up? But, you know, getting a guy like Saquon, that could move the needle very much so. But let's sim now to the next week here. We'll sim to the preseason. And yeah, guys. This is currently the projection starting lineup. I will make the official starting lineup before the preseason video. I will go through all 3 preseason games with you guys, all the highlights and everything. But yeah, you know what? We look to have a good offensive line again. You know, Jonathan Howard will be a solid back potentially. We got playmakers on this team, and this defense improved massively. You know, again, we're gonna be changing up this defense. So this is the team projectedly currently right now, but it's gonna change a lot. I'm also gonna be signing. I always sign to 75 players before the preseason. But yeah, guys, please leave a like, comment down below what you thought of today's action, and don't forget to subscribe. Did we make the right decision by going after a quarterback instead of trying to go after better players? Did we decide to go in the right direction during the free agency pool where there wasn't a ton of free agent talent? We went after DeMarcus Lawrence and Grady Jarrett, and from there we just kind of signed a lot of depth players. Was that the right decision? Let me know down below what you would have done differently. Let me know down below if I did anything right. Please subscribe to the channel, and I will see you in year number 4.